What if I told you that getting wealthy has almost nothing to do with how smart you are and everything to do with how you act? It's a crazy thought, right? But we're going to break it down with 5 life-changing lessons from Morgan Housel's amazing book, The Psychology of Money. To really get this, we've got to start with a puzzle, a true story about 2 men whose financial lives make zero sense on the surface. So on one hand, you've got this guy, Ronald Reed, a janitor, lived a really simple, humble life. And on the other hand, you have Richard Fuld, a Harvard-educated, high-powered CEO of a huge investment bank, living the kind of life you see in movies. I mean, one guy had every possible advantage, and the other, pretty much none. All right, so here's where the story gets wild. When Ronald Reed passed away at 92, he left behind, wait for it, an $8 million fortune. How in the world? Well, for decades, he'd just been quietly putting his small savings into good, solid stocks. And nobody, not a single person, had any idea. And Richard Fuld, the guy on top of the world, when the 2008 financial crisis hit, his company just imploded. And he lost everything. We're talking bankruptcy, foreclosure, the mansion, the cars, poof, all gone. So this is the big question, right? How on earth does the janitor end up the millionaire while the big shot CEO goes broke? The answer isn't in some complicated financial formula. It's in 5 key psychological lessons about money, and we're starting with the one that's maybe the hardest to swallow. Lesson number 1. It's all about luck and risk, these 2 huge invisible forces. You know, we love to believe we're the captains of our own ships, that we're totally in control. But the truth is a lot messier than that. Think about Bill Gates. The guy is a genius, no doubt. But here's a crazy fact. Back in 1968, he just happened to go to one of the only high schools on the planet that had a computer. That's like winning the lottery. It's pure luck. And then you have his friend, Ken Evans. Just as brilliant, same exact dream, but he tragically died in an accident before they could even get started. Same drive, same smarts, totally different outcomes because of luck and risk. And that story just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Luck and risk, they're basically siblings. Luck is the good stuff you never saw coming, and risk is the bad stuff that blindsides you. They're 2 sides of the exact same coin, and nobody is immune. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that you shouldn't just be trying to hit home runs. Your real goal should be just to not get taken out of the game. You want to build a financial life that's tough, one that can take a punch, because you have to survive long enough for the good luck, for the good breaks to have a chance to find you. Okay, that brings us right to our second big lesson, and this is a big one. It turns out getting rich and staying rich are 2 totally, completely different things. See, to get rich, you often have to be a bit of a risk taker, right? You got to be optimistic, swing for the fences. But staying rich, man, that's a whole different ballgame. It's all about playing defense. It's about being a little paranoid, knowing that everything you've built could disappear just like that. And that's exactly what Richard Fuld, for all his smarts, just didn't get. I mean, just think about it. Mike Tyson made something like $400 million and went broke. And you hear stories like that all the time with lottery winners, right? They're amazing at getting the money, but awful at keeping it. Now, contrast that with someone like Warren Buffett. His secret wasn't some flashy move. It was just not messing up. For like 70 years, he just avoided big, dumb mistakes and let that compounding interest work its slow, steady magic. All right, this leads perfectly into our third lesson, which I think is just fascinating. We all think we know what a rich person looks like, but what if I told you we're almost always looking at the wrong thing? Okay, so when you see someone roll by in a brand new Ferrari, what are you seeing? You're not actually seeing wealth. You're seeing what's left after they spent a ton of money. Real wealth, true wealth, is what you don't see. It's the money they didn't spend. It's the investments quietly growing in the background. And this is a shocking fact, but it's true. A massive number of people, even people making really good money, are living paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because they spend everything they make trying to look rich. But think about this for a second. A doctor who makes $300,000 a year but spends $295 of it is actually less wealthy than, say, a plumber who makes $80,000 but saves 20 of it. The plumber is the one who's actually building wealth. That's the secret Ronald Reed knew. His wealth was invisible, just humming along, growing for decades. So what's stopping people from building up that invisible wealth? Well, that brings us to lesson number 4, and it's a huge psychological trap, the danger of never enough. This might be one of the most important lessons of all. I mean, look at the story of Rajat Gupta. This is a guy who clawed his way up from nothing to become the CEO of McKinsey. He had $100 million, but it wasn't enough. He got greedy. He wanted to be a billionaire. So he got into insider trading and boom, lost it all. His money, his reputation, his freedom. He risked everything he had and needed for something he absolutely did not need. And this drive for more often comes from this funny little paradox. Think about it. When you see a really expensive car drive by, you don't think, wow, that driver must be so cool. No, you think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I was cool. See the problem? We're chasing admiration, but people don't admire the person, they admire the car. It's a game you can never win. Okay, so if it's not about the fancy cars, and it's not about just getting more, then what's the whole point of money anyway? And that's our final lesson. And maybe, just maybe, the most important one. This is it. The single greatest thing money can buy isn't a bigger house or a faster car. It's control. Control over your own time. It's the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. That right there, that's freedom. That is the highest dividend you'll ever get from your money. And you don't need to be a millionaire to feel this. Even just a little bit of savings gives you a taste of it. It buys you options. It means a surprise car repair doesn't send you into a panic. It means you have the power to walk away from a terrible boss. It means you get to make choices based on freedom, not on fear. That's a game changer. So, when you boil it all down, that's the big secret. Real wealth isn't a number in your bank account. It's the power to say no. It's having enough breathing room to think. It's having the time to actually live a life that feels like it's yours. That's what Ronald Reed's $8 million really bought him. The freedom to live his life his way. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. The next time you think about money, ask yourself this. Am I just chasing more? Or am I building a life that actually feels rich? A life with more freedom, more options, more time? Because at the end of the day, that's how you actually win.